What's up, guys? So I put the question out on a couple different kayak catfishing Facebook pages earlier. What the biggest learning curve in fishing out of a kayak specifically for catfish is for most people. And I got the answer that I was kind of expecting because it's what I struggled with the most whenever I was just starting out. I don't claim to be an expert by any means, but I've put in a lot of time over the last couple of years and I've learned quite a few things to help me out on the water that I hope to pass along to a few of you in this video. Hope you enjoy it. So first and foremost, one of the biggest issues with anchoring a kayak that needs to be addressed is safety. In extreme current or wind, it can go horribly wrong. Please do not anchor in those extreme conditions. I've come close to flipping my kayak a couple of times in faster current than I should have been anchoring in. It's not worth the risk. Just use some common sense whenever you're out on the water. But the first component that I want to talk about on the kayak is the anchor trolley. I run them on both sides of the kayak on every kayak that I rig up. This is the Kayak Attack lever lock anchor trolley system. This is the heavy duty, and what I mean by that is each of the attachment points has a backing plate inside the hull of the kayak. I've also used just their regular lever lock system with no problems whatsoever. Just whenever I purchased the trolleys for this kayak, that's the only place, or the only version of it the shop I work at sells. Now what this anchor trolley system allows you to do is your anchor point can travel along the whole side of the kayak. I have the kayak on stands right now, so it's kind of difficult to move back and forth. And depending on how I want to position the boat, I can move that anchor point front to back on the kayak. The anchor setup I use is pretty simple. I've got 50 foot of rope to a 5-pound, I believe it's grapple style anchor, and I like this type of anchor because the attachment point is here at the, we'll call it the top of the anchor, and then the rope is also secured by a zip tie. If your anchor is hung on any sort of debris or obstruction on the bottom, as you put that pressure on this zip tie, the zip tie hopefully will break, and then your anchor will flip around and you can retrieve it. The rope is just wound to an extension cord holder that you can get at any hardware store, and then I use 2 floats and a carabiner. If I need to, I can quickly detach my anchor from the kayak, and the floats will keep it to where I can go back and retrieve it. I use this setup whenever I'm suspend fishing. I just use the anchor deployed entirely. I let all of my rope out, and I'll only use this setup when I'm suspend fishing, and that's typically going to be, for the waters I fish, generally 25 feet deep or less. You will have some boat sway. Suspend fishing, I honestly don't mind having that minimal boat sway. Now it typically just allows me to anchor on one general area. It's generally going to be a deep point, a creek mouth, creek channel, something of that nature. It's pretty simple, it's pretty effective, it's how I fish most of the time. The second way I anchor my kayak is, again, anchor either off the bow or stern, and on the opposite side I run a drift sock. I use this setup whenever I'm anchoring in a river, specifically with a fair amount of current, but again, not too much. The anchor holds the boat in place, the drift sock catches water and keeps the boat from swaying. If I have current, this is my favorite way to anchor. Again, I mostly suspend fish using this setup, but you can also cast lines as well. Super simple, super effective, but again, current is the main thing. If you're out on a reservoir where you don't have any current or you have very low current, this just doesn't work. You just end up with a drift sock hanging below the kayak. The third way I anchor my kayak is stakeout poles. This is just the little 4-foot stakeout pole by Yak Gear. You can grab this at Academy. I think they still have it. 4-foot. It obviously is made for 4 foot of water or less. Again, you can attach it with your anchor point on your trolley, either running the stake directly through the trolley, directly through this ring, or attaching rope to the ring. This is the least common way of anchoring I use, but again, super effective for shallow water. I have the 4-foot pole, and then I also have the 8-foot Yak Attack parking pole. Both work really well. This is a super stakeout pole. The fourth and final way I anchor my kayak is with brush grips. I did not start using these until this year, and I don't know what I've been waiting for. These have saved me from skunks my last 2 trips. The last 2 trips I've been out, I plan to anchor in creek mouths and suspend fish, but it was just far too windy to do that. Using these, I can pull up to any sort of down trees on the bank, any little stick ups, and the good thing about them, as they grip, the harder you pull, the tighter they grip. Your kayak is not going anywhere. Again, you can use these through your trolley ring, but my favorite way to use them is attaching my line to a zigzag cleat on the kayak. I've got that zigzag cleat on both of my kayaks. They are very simple, very handy, work very well. Well, I hope that maybe gave you some new ideas on how to safely secure and position your boat while you're out on the water. If you have any other questions, please let me know. I did not mention using 2 anchors for the very simple reason that I never do. It works very well in a boat, and in theory it would work very well in a kayak. I have not done it for this reason though, is when you're using the 2 anchor system, you have a lot of rope on the boat. I like to keep as clean a deck as possible. I like to keep as little equipment on the kayak as possible when I'm on the water as well. Kayak fishing is meant to be simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Hope this answered some questions. Hope it gave you some ideas. If you have any questions, like I said, don't be afraid to ask. And if this video was a complete waste of your time, I'm sorry. But I hope I helped some people. Thanks for watching.